Friends, hello, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Brunch right here on Love Wrestling. Thanks for joining us as always on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live. It is always appreciated. There's lots of wrestling content out there. There's lots of ways you can spend a Sunday morning. So thank you guys for spending it with us. Now, of course, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at RK Athletics. Make sure you give them a follow on social media at RK Athletics 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, with things thankfully starting to open a little bit, you can start to take advantage of one-on-one training here in Alberta, or if you guys are located outside of the City of Champions, make sure you check out the online personal training that he's got going on online. Again, you can figure out more on that end on his social media at RK Athletics 1. It's good to see you guys, the three compadres that I've got on my screen, and it's good to see you friends in the comments. Sandy, welcome, my friend. Love wrestling for life. I completely agree, my friend. Morning, morning, afternoon, good night, evening, whatever it might be. Thank you guys for tuning in, grabbing your beverage of choice, and coming to chat some professional wrestling. Now, normally we go clockwise, and thank you, Parrish, for making the adjustment, getting me in the correct area of the screen. So we're going to go counterclockwise this time because, Magsy, you've literally waited all day, much like Reese did, to show up on Sunday Brunch. So how was your day? Good evening, friend. How are things?
Thank you very much. Apologies for having to bail on last week's. For context, I'm usually on the first episode of the month, but we had a creators meeting at another network. But I'm happy to be here.
Unforgivable.
Yeah, I know.
Unforgivable, man.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's been a mad few weeks for me, and today has been no exception. So I was awake till 8 o'clock this morning doing the UFC coverage, and then I got about 3 hours sleep to then go on with our Love Wrestling star Josh for the NXT predictions. Then we went straight into Radio Techers for the Euro 2020 football, and now I'm here on Love Wrestling. So yeah, it's been a mad day. I am just buzzed off coffee and ready to have a good time on the Sunday Brunch.
Good to hear as always, dude. Parrish, it's been a while. It's been 12 hours, which is usually a while between you and I. How are things, man? How are you recovering after some video games and some imbibements last night?
Well, you know what? When you live the life as a champ, you got to be able to go no matter what time of the day it is.
Tired of it.
So, I got my chocolate melted, the big thing of it. So 1.5 liters. Yeah, it'll be gone in like 10 minutes. I swear to God it will be. It's no chance. But yeah, no. And I had to make sure I put you back in that spot. I didn't want your OCD to like kick in. So.
All right, fair point. And of course, the Canadian Goose, who is making his first appearance, but certainly not his last on Love Wrestling today. It's good to see you, Goose. And I know we usually plug stuff for we've got coming up on wrestling this week at the end of the show, but let's kick her off. You're debuting the Goose Call today. Give us a little it's how you're doing and then what you're doing later on.
I'm doing okay. Physically I'm a little worse for wear. The Top Talent Wrestling Academy opened its doors back up this week with the restrictions sort of lightening up, and wrestling is a rough sport.
Body is worse for wear for all the right reasons, though.
Yes, but emotionally, I'm feeling good, and I am very stoked for the Goose Call tonight. It's going to be me and my good buddy, frequent guest on Monday Night Shaw. In fact, I don't think anyone's been on more episodes of Monday Night Shaw than the Steel Panther, Cameron Stevens. He's a solid dude, a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to sit down and watch some totally wacky wrestling with him. Today we're going to be featuring a match from Beyond Wrestling between everyone's AEW favorite Orange Cassidy and a guy who I think has quickly risen to like the top like three guys I would love to wrestle at some point. Hornswoggle.
Absolutely, man. I think like both of those guys are pretty underappreciated, but we ain't getting into the technical classics as far as the Goose Call goes. Like you said, some wacky professional wrestling going on later this afternoon here on Love Wrestling. Join us, watch along, have some fun, and stay tuned on Sunday Brunch. If we're talking wacky wrestling, we're going to show you some highlights from one of my favorite wacky wrestlers, but we're going to get to that in a second. Friends, lots going on in pro wrestling over the last 7 days. Lots going on over the last 2 days. Of course, Against All Odds airing last night. Tonight we get NXT TakeOver in Your House. Excited as all hell. I don't know about you guys. I admittedly haven't had a chance to check out Against All Odds. That's my Sunday evening post NXT viewing. So
did they film that at Daly's place?
I think the main event was.
The main event,
yeah, they did the main event at Daly's place.
The
That's all
was
I
not.
know on that end. Yeah, they
Well,
did.
was
Was there
match,
fans there?
No fans
Oh.
yet. I think they're announced
That
though.
bums me out.
It is what it is. It's a tough spot for everybody to be in because, like, you can get back to quote unquote normal for a lot of the places in the States right now, but you
Daly's
do want to
place
make
just
sure you.
featured a huge pay-per-view full of fans. So,
But even with like Impact Wrestling versus AEW is two different things, right? Like, I think Impact would want to promote the match itself because it was only the one match. Like, if you're going to try and sell tickets for that, you got to do a good job of promoting it. You got to get it. Not that they haven't, but you got to get way ahead of it. You can't really make it the snap decision, right? So,
I mean, just
unfortunate that they can't have fans, but
because they're
is what it
partnered
is.
with AEW, I like, at least in my mind, I would have suspected they would have like just filmed it after one of their AEW tapings or something because they're partners or whatever. But
well, they filmed it last week, if I remember correctly.
oh, okay. Well, I don't understand why they would not film it while there was a crowd there.
Because they filmed one match.
Okay.
Yeah, and even if they did film it after Dan, the potential for spoilers and to ruin the outcome will be there.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
But never watched Against All Odds. However, I can say I'm incredibly excited for NXT TakeOver in Your House tonight. I want to kick off the conversation there. But of course, friends, if you're in the comments section, you want to chat some pro wrestling, you got topics other than what we're throwing your way in mind. Gosh, my hair's been poofy the last few days.
You look
I would say
fabulous.
Ploopy.
Thank you. No, I'd say it looks pretty good. Sorry.
Ploopy.
There we are.
You should dye
Please feel
bleach
free to
blonde
throw
and
'em
just be
out
like
there.
Ric Flair.
Nah, Rick's got great hair. Pillman's got great hair. I ain't even in the conversation for great hair yet. I think I got great hair for.
You can be a modern day Steve Austin. I think you can do it when it comes to the hair game.
The Hollywood Blondes. Talk about underrated tag teams, man. And like great tag team. Everyone knows great tag team, but certainly an underrated tag team. But we're talking in your house. Friends, anything you're particularly excited about for it tonight? Lots of great matches. It seems for me the one complaint I'd have is that as the first takeover after a WrestleMania or their biggest takeover of the year, it seems like a lot of the feuds are in their holding pattern, or at least for me, you can feel like you're pretty certain in who's going to win every match, but like never taken away from an NXT takeover before. We're always great. Instead of last night, have you ever watched a bad takeover?
Yeah, no, I can't think of. There's nothing I would lump in with like December to Dismember. Like.
Well played. Magsy, any thoughts, any comments, any
Yeah,
concerns heading into tonight?
I mean, if you're looking at bad takeovers, I would suggest that last year's In Your House was a little bit of a letdown. I didn't really like the Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole match. I felt it kind of like ruined the pace of the show. But if that's the only criticism you're having of an NXT takeover, that's high praise that they are such good quality. For me, I like your point about it being predictable, and I think a lot of these results are predictable. It seems that we're building towards an NXT post SummerSlam, so I can see a lot of these storylines maybe carrying on a little bit. But then we've also got the looming draft over the heads of a lot of NXT wrestlers. So maybe that can influence how some of the matches are booked. So maybe it won't be as predictable as it first seems. So I'm excited for it. I think the 5 matches on the card are absolutely stellar, and it just shows the depth of NXT.
And I love me a 5-match card. Love me a 5-match card.
But
Parrish, I'm going to move to you next. But sorry about that, Mags. You didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna comment on the depth of NXT. The fact we haven't got the women's tag titles on the card. We haven't got grizzled young veterans. We haven't got Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa on the card. So there's a huge depth of storylines that are still there to be played against. So I can see some of these talents being pulled away from NXT in the very near future.
Oh, yeah. And Parrish, I'll move to you next because a lot of points brought up and specifically a lot of great points on tag teams. But Kev, got to give a quick shout out, man. Good to see you. Thank you for hopping in. And I agree with you. Don't think I've seen a bad takeover either. I agree with your point on In Your House last year, Magsy, but like, you know, not to beat a dead horse too much on this point, but like, I think a lot of that did have to do with the circumstances around Dream then and obviously that have continued on. You look at that card though that night, I think there were a lot of people who were frustrated by how the women's main event or the women's match finished. At the same time, that triple threat was an absolute classic. The Damian Priest, Finn Balor match from that card, that's what really sold me on Damian Priest is like a star. I don't have any other way to put it. I didn't really like how he'd come into WWE NXT at that point. Obviously, Punishment Martinez is the effing man, but didn't have the best start to NXT. Loved In Your House last year. That's getting besides the point on it. I'm real excited for tonight's card. Any card that's got the $1 million championship on it is a good card by my money if we're going to get real here. Right? But Parrish, let's talk about those tag teams Magsy brought up. Because he does raise a good point in that there's a lot of very talented tag teams that have been left off the card. A lot of them, and I mean this in the best way, for the good reason of like they don't have a lot going on. Nothing's really being forced. Once these guys start to get back on the card for whether it's weekly television, back on takeovers, like their tag division's bound to break out again sooner rather than later, hey?
I think it's very smart not to have a single 2-on-2 tag team match for the tag titles on this takeover, simply because they've been doing so many MSK versus matches on the actual like shows to the point where I don't think you got to spice it up a little bit, give them a little bit of a change, because you don't want to get them. You don't want to go Drew McIntyre with them. And the reason why I'm using that comparison is 2 years Drew McIntyre has been in the WWE title picture, and it's now becoming to the point where it's like, okay, I just want to change. You can't do just the same old thing again and again and again and again and expect the same interest and result. People will get tired eventually. That's just the day we live in now. And MSK is so good, but you don't want to take their style and just tell them to go all the time, because they're going to get hurt. Something's going to go wrong eventually, and then you're going to be put in a position where maybe a Danny Burch gets hurt again, but maybe that's an MSK guy. So you got to be careful on how you.
Yes and no. I don't think you can go into anything like as bad as it's going to sound, like planning for an eventual injury. I know that's not like the most eloquent way for me to put that.
I'm just saying,
like,
you've got to be able to manage the talent in
manage
that
the
way,
roster.
and that's why I think the 6-man is so smart, because you're giving MSK a chance to kind of rest, but also giving them a chance to kind of you're just protecting them a little bit.
I think Legato's pulling it off tonight.
Yeah. Matt, I would love to see. I don't know if this is a thing, but if the match was Santos Escobar and his guys win, they should win all the titles. That would have been is that a thing?
Winner take all, man. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was about to search up, because I thought I had the time, but you threw it in my way. So I was like, shit.
It's okay. We're calling it in the ring.
No, that'd be absolutely amazing, because when was the last? I think the last time I've ever seen multiple titles change hands in one night in WWE was actually an In Your House between I think it was Bulldog and Yoko, who lost the tag titles to the Dudes with Attitudes, but it was actually Owen Hart who ran in the match and took the pin. So that was the last time I've seen multiple titles on the line.
And I'd love to see it. Like, I just think either by my money, and I'm definitely biased as far as it goes, I think Legado del Fantasma has been absolutely fantastic. Like, there's no other way to put it for me. I think they're like, I hate using the lofty comparisons, but like, there hasn't really been a major faction to come out of NXT in a long time. You know, Sanity, I don't think ever really got a fair shot. Parrish, what?
Undisputed Era?
But they haven't, like, what I mean is they haven't come up, but they're not coming up to the main roster as a faction. That's more where I'm talking about.
Oh,
So
okay.
with Legado, my thought is they're either going to stick around NXT, win all the championships, have that long, almost, undisputed era run, or they don't win tonight and they come up as that next major faction. Because again, Sanity, I think, was brought up. Obviously, losing Nikki Cross as part of that call-up, I think, was a bad move off the bat. Yeah. Death Knell's tough because I think all three of those dudes are super talented, but like it was a tough start, and then you lose your first match, and that for me is
you can't make a peanut butter jelly sandwich if you substitute the peanut butter. You gotta have the real thing.
Technically, it's a different sandwich, but that's
I know.
Keeping, what is the name of their tag team again? Sorry,
it's Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah.
Okay, those guys. I feel like maybe keeping them on NXT is a better idea than moving them to the main roster because, like, I can just see them being booked endlessly in matches against the luchadors. Like,
I don't disagree.
And
it sucks to say that, like,
and they would be spectacular matches. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, for sure. No, dude, don't worry, because I agree with you. It's just like, you know, in trying to be positive with everything, I think I held out a little more hope, and we collectively, I think I can speak for all of us, have held out a little more hope that these main roster call-ups, maybe this time they'll get it right every time someone comes up, and then usually they don't. I'm starting to buy into that, like, main roster curse, for lack of a better way to put it, but that's neither here nor there. We'll dig back into that after we say hello to our friends in the comments. Ed hopping back in, seeing you as recently as I saw Parrish 11 hours later, but nice to see you, man. Thank you for hopping in last night. Thank you for hopping in this morning. Dan, great to see you as well. I want Legado del Fantasma to win, but I don't want them to be transitional champions, which is my feeling on what might happen. Yes and no. Like, I could see it. I just really am personally, again, I know it's my bias for them, but if they're going to win all the championships, they hold them for a while. And if they lose tonight, I would love to see them called up as part of the draft.
It'd be a shame to take a title off of Bronson Reed so quick, too, though. Like, as much as I'd like to see that trifecta of champions between the group as well, I think taking a title off Bronson Reed after he just won
I could see Bronson getting called up too, though, because there are a lot of guys, and I'll even go back to Damian Priest on this example. There are a lot of professional wrestlers in NXT that haven't had, like, most of your major call-ups, quote unquote, have had like the full story arc. You come in, you build yourselves up, you earn your way to the championship, carry the championship, lose it, rematch, main roster.
Well, Bronson the same
Reed,
thing.
Well, but when I look at a guy like Damian Priest, or when I look at a guy like Bronson Reed, or even a guy like Elias, and I know that the former two had won championships and are currently carrying in one's case, they haven't really had like that full story arc. Really, they've been like sort of, hey, quick run in, quick North American championship win, call up to the main roster. Yeah. And I think, look at how well that's worked out for Damian Priest. So maybe you get that same sort of vibe when you call up Bronson Reed, but I'm not 100% sure.
But then look how poorly it's worked for Keith Lee and how poorly it worked for Ricochet. There does seem to be a kind of like a trend of a quick North American title run. It hot shots to someone else, and then that wrestler gets called up and then is languishing back in catering for a long period of time. And I hope that doesn't happen to Bronson Reed, because I think he's got such a big upside. He's definitely main roster bound. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He just looks like he'll fit on the main roster. I just hope he doesn't go up a little bit too early. I'd like to see him have a long run with the title and really kind of stretch out his character a little bit more.
I feel like a match between Bronson Reed and Sheamus would be
Sheamus is on the best run of his career right now, and Sheamus, man, like
he won me over at WrestleMania when he worked Matt Riddle. Like that match was incredible.
It was nuts. He, by my money, though, like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. You look at the runs he's had, and I realize he sort of got the shit end of the stick with stuff like the
curse word.
Thank you. Sorry. What was it? The League of Nations. The League of Nations. That was sort of a shit end of the stick in the way that they were there to use CM Punk's word.
swearing.
make Roman look strong. It's my site.
My bookings. It's my site.
I feel like every time someone swears, we should just cut to footage of Triple H being like, on Monday Night Raw, we will no longer use the following words.
Well, and just a sidetrack, because it does give me a good in, Dan throwing in here as well. Triple H's comments about the call-ups kind of destroyed my faith in the main roster call-ups, doing well the majority of the time. I think his point definitely had some merit to it. Because he's bang on with like the sports comparison, and that not all NFL, NHL, MLB, any draft pick is a guarantee to work out. I do think that there's it ain't the end all be all though, because I think that there's a lot of rightful critiques, and it ain't any new information, but there's a lot of rightful critiques as far as things they could have done better on the WWE or the booking end or anything like that, for lack of a better way to put it, is sewered some people. Absolutely sewered some very talented professional wrestlers.
Now, I'm going to bring up something. We're talking about the draft. We're talking about people moving. We just saw the end of an absolute killer reign in the NXT UK as Miko Satomura became the new NXT UK champion. Kaylee Ray, 649 days. Where do we see Kaylee Ray go? Because I wouldn't be surprised knowing that tonight, within your house having some people in attendance, we might see her front row at this event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just purely on the fact that I think she'd be someone who would get called up. I think she's bound for Raw, SmackDown, one of the two.
See, I think that of Io Shirai.
I really hope they don't just make her a goofy character and put her with like Nikki Cross, though. I like Nikki Cross. I think she's fantastic, but like
Vince certainly would have form for that. Seeing two Scottish wrestlers and thinking instantly tag team. But yeah, I'm along the lines of you, Kyle, that she needs to come in with the same character that she's had in NXT UK, because that works. It absolutely works for her.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a very interesting time for the women in WWE right now, just given how many opportunities are there for the taking. Just with the releases that we've seen, we have no idea kind of with this draft how it's going to go with the women. Like Sasha Banks, like you said, Spencer, last night, hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania. And that creates an opportunity for other women, because all of a sudden that's a big hole to fill for someone. And then we're seeing that Kaylee Ray, I think that was their swan song in NXT UK for sure. Yeah. I think she is such an underappreciated talent, because I don't think enough people know how good she is because of the coverage here in North America with NXT UK. I could be wrong, but
no, I think you're bang on there in that. Underappreciated might not be the right word. Hello, Darnell. I should take a moment and say hello properly. Thank you for tuning in. It is appreciated. We're talking about Kaylee Ray because she's friggin' rad. I completely agree, Parrish, in that she's maybe underappreciated because of NXT UK, and just like it does suck. It's on at I think 2 or 3 in the afternoon here for us. It's just hard for me to watch it consistently.
And do you know?
But I don't think anybody. No worries. I just don't think anybody is unaware of how good she is, but I do think she isn't exposed enough because of just the time differences. I know that's a bad way to put it, but it's the hand we're dealt. Sorry to keep cutting you off there, Shaw.
No, the saddest thing to me about NXT UK, and I mentioned this before we went live, was that those English crowds are insane. So when crowds come back, NXT UK could possibly be like the best show on the WWE network.
Oh man, I don't disagree. And like the amount of talented individuals they've got over there is absolutely insane. Like Walter's going to be back there full time. I think he even is at this point. I don't see him coming back to NXT at any point soon, right? So look at him.
We'll see.
Triple H said something very amazing too about that whole thing. He said Walter likes coming to the States knowing that he's doing the 1 or 2 off and then just gets to go back home. He really digs that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more 1-offs with Walter in these forums because guys, I don't think the travel's as big of a deal as people make it out to be with that guys. That's their job. Like Alistair Black even flat out said he loves it. Like that's his favorite.
Well, and like
thing.
you said, Parrish, I think it's like the going back and forth. Like that's no problem, but like having to move and be in NXT for Walter, I think has been he wants to stay in the UK. That's always
I think
been what I've heard.
permanent move, like relocating of like residency. Like I agree. I don't think he wants to do that, but I think he'd be okay of like, hey, I know you live here, but like come for a week and like do here and then go back. That's more acceptable, I would assume, for a guy like that.
Yeah. My take on this is Walter is fantastic. He has completely proven himself. He's an absolute monster, and he could be like an incredible character. And everyone has a price. And I think Walter would be worth the money to be like, oh, you want an extra $1 million a year on your contract to move here? Here you go, buddy. Here.
See, I thought you were going to say he gets involved in the $1 million championship.
No. I'm just saying, like.
And that's why Braun Strowman got released. He needed that money for Walter.
Maybe he would prefer to live in Europe, but if you throw enough money at him, he's probably going to be like, yeah, okay.
I'll live in Timbuktu for $1 million a year. Let me tell you that much. But we'll continue the discussion after we get back from a break. We're a little bit over on that end, which is always nice. It means we're having a nice chat among friends here on Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch. Of course, friends, if you're in the comment section like Darnell, like Dan, like Ed, like Sandy, like everybody who has joined us this morning, throw your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, theories, anything in between and in there. We're happy to chat about anything for about the next half hour. But like we said off the bat, Kyle's going to be joining us a little bit later on here back on Love Wrestling, going live and watching some wacky professional wrestling. So let's highlight another wacky professional wrestler. This was the first interview I released on Love Wrestling. It was the day we launched. It was with one of my personal favorites in Gentleman Jervis. And here he is telling a pretty great story about the time he met The Rock.
Well, and you've taken some inspiration from some of the best in professional wrestling in the past. You've mentioned The Rock and Bret Hart as two guys who you've really loved as professional wrestlers. The Rock's kind of an obvious one for the way that he was really an entertainer, continues to be an entertainer, but maybe Bret Hart's a little bit more understated as far as stuff like that goes. Can you maybe walk me through why you like those two guys specifically?
Well, surely. The Rock, when I was maybe I was 12 years old, and my mother took me to meet The Rock. And my mom didn't really think much of it. We're going to go meet a wrestler. And when we got to, it was a card shop called BC Sports Collectibles. And when we got to the front of the line, my mom, she looked at me and she goes, there he is. She goes, oh my gosh. I was like, Mom, he's electrifying. You've been electrified. And she was like, oh my goodness. It was this thing, this charisma. You can't explain it. You can't really put a tag on it. You can't capture it. But man, you know what it is. You know what it is when you feel it. And that was a special moment for me because I thought, he's not even doing anything. He's just sitting in a chair, electrifying. Well, he was doing something, but he was making it look easy. I'll tell you that. So that moment really stuck with me. And of course, he was always a very entertaining performer.
Of course he was a very entertaining performer. The biggest star in Hollywood, the man, the myth, the legend, Gentleman Jervis. Great chat. Hope you guys checked that one out. That was about 6 months ago, which is nuts that we're 6 months into this wee little project that we've got going on. Yeah, I even threw the word we in there because now I'm just indoctrinated with Kaylee Ray and my fellow UKite? UKer? What do you call us, Magsy? I'm asking you on that one. I don't know what we call us, but either way, I call us pretty great. Thank you guys for tuning in here on a Sunday morning. We're chatting professional wrestling. We were chatting Kaylee Ray. We were chatting Walter.
No help at all. You got no help at all.
No, but you know what? The nice thing is I've learned, I at least like to think I have learned to vamp adequately. I ain't the best of the best by any means, but I did fine. Hi, Morgan. I forgot to close the door. As you guys can all tell. Hey, she's just getting back. It wasn't an issue until she got back, but I tend to yell while I'm doing these things, which is Lawrence, good to see you. I don't know who Gentleman Jervis is, but I know he has killed before. He has seen a soul leave its vessel. I think you are confusing him with his evil twin, Purvis Rottenbelly, which is not a lie. That is a professional wrestler that exists out there. There's a fun fact. Lawrence getting in there and making souls leave bodies last night as we attempted to raise money for the Trevor Project, and we're continuing to do so all month. So in a couple of seconds, when I'm done my vamping, you guys know I'm a hand talker. I can't type and talk at the same time. But last night, we were able to raise another $80 towards the Trevor Project. That's putting us at $1,147 once, to be honest, I put the match donations down. It's just great that you guys have been able to support us so much on that end of things. And of course, if I've got the great opportunity to plug, make sure you guys tune in 11 days' time. We've got a special edition of Quizplex coming up. Nicole Matthews, Ravenous Randy Myers, and a special guest that we just confirmed that we will be announcing in the next day or two, joining us on Quizplex this month. We're raising money all month. Please feel free to donate towards the Trevor Project and continue to stay tuned in here on Sunday Brunch. Magsy,
Hello.
you left me on the spot earlier, so I'm going to ask you.
Fall on your sword, sir.
That's exactly. I'm making you fall back on that sword now too. So, give me a topic. Give me something you're excited about in professional wrestling. Give me whether it's Takeover, whether it's Against All Odds, whether it's Ring of Honor's Women's Wrestling Wednesday, whether it's anything in between. Give me something to talk about. Give me a highlight.
Okay, so it's definitely Takeover. I think that for me, being someone whose main wrestling show is NXT, it's the main event. That 5-way just dream match between Karrion Kross defending against Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Jason Mraz, aka Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole. It's an absolute banger of a match, and I am so excited to see it.
Jason Mraz, well played. I would normally get offended that somebody would be taking a shot at Kyle O'Reilly, but damn it, that was entertaining. I'll take it. I'm real excited for it, man. Like you said, that Fatal 5-Way is going to be absolutely nuts. I think a lot of people, admittedly, are sleeping on Raquel versus Ember. I really do, and I think it really speaks to the quality of the other matches on the card. It's nothing against anything that they've done, but I think because every other match people just seem to be more excited about, this one's getting a little bit slept on. And I love me a David and Goliath story. I love Ember Moon. For me, this will really be the first chance for her to come out, show out as a singles wrestler since she came back. I'm excited as hell for this one. Real excited.
Yeah, go ahead, Max.
Late return, boys. Mama Goose made me something to eat.
I was just going to say, I think this match it feels to me that it's a win over an established star in Ember Moon to kind of legitimize Raquel Gonzalez as a champion. Not that she needs it, but I think that's just the way that NXT are booking this. It's going to be an absolute banger match. I think it's the sleeper of the night. Ember Moon very rarely puts on bad matches, and Raquel Gonzalez in the 3 years that she's been wrestling, her improvement has been so damn good. She's grown so well into it, and I love the kind of slight face turn that she's getting. She's really kind of ingratiated herself with the NXT audience until she made some ridiculous claims on Twitter about being the first ever Latin American female champion.
Even know, and I will stand here. I don't think that was her who claimed it. I believe that the WWE tweeted that out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But it was definitely revisionist history, and she's bore a lot of the brunt of that. But we're not here to slate her on this. This match is going to be absolutely outstanding. You've got the it factors of Shotzi Blackheart and Dakota Carter getting involved, so anything could really happen. But the one thing that is almost guaranteed is that Raquel stands tall at the end of the match and continues as champion.
The eventual Raquel Dakota match is going to be absolutely insane, and I think the coolest part of it for me is, like you've alluded to, Mags, like Raquel seems to be walking this line of just tweener. I hate the phrase, but that's the best way to put it, is like the Shades of Grey character right now. And I think it's going to be very cool. Again, I brought up the David versus Goliath dynamic earlier. I think that's going to be very cool to see in what I believe will be like Raquel as the big brooding face and Dakota as like the slimy heel for it. You don't see that dynamic often. Like, the big badass is usually the heel in these sorts of matches. Yeah. I'd say 9.9 out of 10 times, and rightfully so. But I think it's going to be very, very cool if I turn out to be correct, and I've been wrong before and will be again. But if this turns into like a Dakota heel turn again, and she gets to play that slimy heel. Eventually, I think that'll lead back into the Tegan Knox return. That's getting ahead of myself, but I think there's a lot of mileage in that feud. I really do.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm good. I was just going to say I kind of likened it to the Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax storyline we had a few years ago, where you don't normally get that the bigger wrestler being the face, but it really worked there. And I think if approached it with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, it could work again in this case.
Yeah, I'm just going to make the quick point because Parrish, I know you've got a couple. Nia Jax, why they haven't gone back and capitalized on that face turn, or why they didn't capitalize on that face turn, is beyond me, because I was so into Nia Jax at that point. Great message behind that feud, and 2 months later they turn her again to feud with Ronda Rousey for a month. Frustrating. I think there was a lot of mileage in that run too, but sorry, Parrish, I digress.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, before I was almost gonna interrupt Mags. I was just gonna say, what are the over and unders of? You're going to finally see like the beginning of actual tension between Dakota and Raquel in this. And it's very hilariously, ironically similar. Say that one 5 times fast, by the way, of Sean and Diesel, because they are being played in the same way. Diesel was the face. He was like the big guy, also the baby face. And he's the one who got the championship first out of the two. And then all of a sudden you're seeing jealousness. You're seeing a little bit of like carelessness out of Shawn Michaels doing the super kicks. And that's where I think that this could be going. The ironic part of it is that, Spencer, you and I have the similar mindset of,
isn't it ironic?
Does this bring Tegan Knox back into the play with Dakota Kai, because you can go back to that story, which I think it makes a lot of sense. Because 2 against 1 when the one is a babyface giant is such an interesting story to me. Mm-hmm. But I just think if Dakota Kai does not understand this is her opportunity to become a mega star right now, she is going to waste it. She needs to understand this is her
Dakota
time.
Kai, but any opportunity she's had, in my opinion, she's hit out of the park. Like her heel turn, by my money, is. And there are a lot of great heel turns in NXT. So I'll comfortably put that in the top 10, and I'd argue it's a top 5 NXT heel turn.
Yeah,
right?
This can absolutely implant her in the title scene for good if she does. If this comes out the right way, that's what I mean by opportunity. She has a chance here that I like. Because if it doesn't work, they could go, okay, well, you're going to be put back with Tegan Knox. You might be a side role with somebody else. It's kind of a setback. This could be a chance for her to actually step out and be her own. And it's very interesting.
I think she's going to nail it out of the park. And again, I've got a lot of bias for a lot of pro wrestlers.
I'm just saying,
I think Dakota Kai is fantastic.
Just keep your eyes on Dakota Kai, because she could be the one that really catapults out of this. Everyone's looking Raquel. Everyone's looking Raquel, and you can't miss it because it's obvious and she's huge.
Well, and
but watch out for Dakota Kai, because she could be the big the big player at the end of all this.
It's a dumb question because I'm not admittedly all that up to date in my 90s wrestling. Did Michaels take the title off of Diesel?
So no. Michaels and Diesel had the WrestleMania match at 11. Diesel won. Diesel then lost it to Sean, and then he lost it to Brett, who then took it to Sean at WrestleMania 12, and the classic, that was the Iron Man match.
I have now been updated, and I appreciate my updated
which would be perfect for Tegan Knox in that Brett role. So all the pieces are lining up to be a real homage to that storyline.
Yeah. Honestly,
Brett Knox is not a bad wrestling name.
If they honestly just brought Natalya back and had her beat Raquel Gonzalez for the belt, and then Dakota Kai and Natalya wrestled in a 1-hour Iron Man match, and Dakota Kai achieved the girlhood dream, I think that would be pretty fantastic.
The boyhood dream has come true. Man, I'd have no issue either, though. Like, if Dakota was the one to take the title off of Raquel, Raquel Gonzalez, in, like you said, Mags, in a relatively short amount of time, She was in the second Mae Young Classic, correct? And even then, like
she's been wrestling for about 3 years. I think it's
and by no means was she like bad or anything along those lines. But like, man, what she's been able to do in her time in NXT is like nuts, absolutely nuts. She's gonna be a major player, man.
Hear me out on this.
I would love to hear you out on this one. And in fact, I will give you the big screen to do so.
You eventually have a breakup between Dakota and Raquel, and you have Dakota being your heel, and you have Raquel being your babyface, clearly, right? That's the direction you go. To a point where they have this match, and maybe it's a gimmick match. It could be Dakota's last hurrah to get the title. And that's how when you bring in Tegan Knox, who turns and like, she not only returns, but she returns to help Dakota claim the championship. I think that would make a very, like, just amazing story. Instead of Tegan Knox coming back just to join, she's actually making that impact and taking a title off of Raquel. Therefore, Raquel actually can have a choice of who to go. That's a very interesting dynamic. I would actually, okay. I'm invested if that's the case.
Had to throw that one up there. Good to see you, Zach. Happy to see Parrish and Spencer survived last night's festivities on Blowing Off stream. Me, not so much. Yeah, Zach and I have had a lot of spelling errors in the conversations we're having on Slack this morning. No, trust me, it ain't. Zach took the brunt of the damage. I'll give him full credit. He went.
How many shots did he do?
I believe he hit the limit of 5 because we do we want to make sure we're well within both Twitch's terms of service. But we also want to make sure that like we ain't hurting anybody. So he got hurt a little bit, but no more than necessary, for lack of a better way to put it. And of course, friends, if you would like to help contribute to the Trevor Project, hold on. Look at me, remembering to put the link in the chat there first. So if you want to help us towards our goal with the Trevor Project, we've hit our first of $1,000. We're now aiming for 2. Please feel encouraged to hop in there. Throw some cash our way. Throw cash the Trevor Project's way, more importantly, because frankly, as much as we love the support, as much as we would encourage a subscription, a follow, a merchandise purchase, all of that sort of good stuff, this is where our heart is this month. If you want to contribute to the Trevor Project, the link is in the chat. We'll throw up the graphic a couple more times throughout the rest of Sunday Brunch, which has 15 minutes left. So, of course, Parrish, we've cut you off a lot. We've asked a lot about Magsy's favorite things, whether they be raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens, or tonight's NXT TakeOver. So let's move on to you, friend. What are you looking forward to maybe this week? What have you enjoyed over the past week? Or what's a hot take that you want to talk about in pro wrestling? You've got
because I like to ride through the lines and never cross it. But, okay, you know what? No, I'm actually going to take this time just to be very positive because I think Kaylee Ray deserves so much credit for what she has done. I think you don't see a female reign like that in pro wrestling in the WWE sense.
Any reign like that,
and it's just absolutely amazing. I think everyone knows I love NXT. I love NXT UK. We have NXT TakeOver tonight. I am a kid at a candy store or at Neverland Ranch, whatever you want to say. Hey man, that place looks fun. That place looked fun. Okay, despite what happened there, that place looked fun.
No, we're leaving that one out. Ain't touching that.
That place looked fun. I'd still go to there. If I could just not
daytime activities.
If I could just be by myself and play, I'd be there.
I don't want this defended on this friggin' site. Move on.
But NXT TakeOver in your house, I'm very curious to see if we're going to see Kyle O'Reilly actually do anything from I have a feeling where we're going to see something big happen tonight. I really do. Whether it's a championship, whether it's a moment, whether it's a return, whether it's a debut. I think we're going to see something big tonight, and I would love to see Kyle O'Reilly win the NXT championship tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. Like, the only reason, because I was kicking it around too, and I said it last night even, that I think that if it's going to happen, O'Reilly pinning Cole would be a great way to go forward. Personally, though, like, in the nicest possible way, you can always count on WWE to try and throw a swerve in there somewhere. But they're pretty good about not making a million of them in one event. So if I'm going to call Legado del Fantasma winning all the championships, carrying all the gold, I don't think that the title changes in the main event. If Legado del Fantasma loses out, they end up, in the future moving up or whatever it might be. If they lose tonight, I could see Kyle O'Reilly winning the title. If Cross doesn't win it, I think O'Reilly's the guy for sure. But I think my earlier call of Santos Escobar and company, I think that negates my ability to pick 2 title changes. Or I guess
the one guy I want
title changes, depending on how many you count a tag team championship as.
The one guy I will say watch out for tonight, because nobody's really talking about him going into this match, is Pete Dunne. I don't think enough people are talking about Pete Dunne going into TakeOver tonight, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's the guy. But as a Canadian, as a Western Canadian,
I love me some
Kyle
Pete
O'Reilly got a soft spot for him, and I am an Adam Cole guy, by the way.
As a
And I'm
person
saying
named Kyle, and who Kyle O'Reilly is from Vancouver, and I'm from Victoria, which is like, an hour's ferry ride away. I would really be stoked to see Kyle O'Reilly win the belt, and I don't think it's an impossibility because with the draft coming up, I can see Karrion Kross and Adam Cole both going to the main roster for sure, like 100%.
I think Adam Cole's destined right now. Karrion Kross, I think, still has time in NXT.
You know who I would really like to see get called up, but I'm not sure will be, is Johnny Gargano. I think he's been in NXT for a very long time.
Actually, that's a good point, because we didn't talk about the Way in that group thing either. The Way is a pretty solid faction.
They're a solid faction, but I think they're going to continue to be in NXT for a bit.
Yeah.
I think there's legs to the story. I think eventually you're going to get Gargano wrestling Austin Theory and Candice LeRae wrestling Indy Hartwell, and then they're going to do a mixed tag match, and then they'll get a championship involved.
I want to
and then
see
maybe someone will get called up. I at this point, and I've got no issue with it, I think Gargano's staying in NXT. I think Ciampa's same situation.
They feel to me like NXT laughers.
Yeah. And I again mean that in like a very positive sense, but like I can't see them getting called up. I really can't.
Well, they tested the water with Gargano and Ciampa a little while ago, and I think
that was when Ciampa got injured, didn't he?
Yeah, and I just don't think it. I think they are more suited to the NXT style than they are to the Raw or SmackDown style.
I would have thought that if they were going to get called up at any point, it would have been during the pandemic, because at least on Ciampa's end, if I'm remembering correctly, he's always talked about and he doesn't want to travel is again one of the biggest things. And you don't want to do the cross country. He wants to stay. I believe it's in Florida that they live.
Yeah.
Or at least if he's traveling back and forth to Florida and home, that's the extent of the travel he wants to do. So if I'm wrong in that, cool. Tommaso Ciampa versus the world is something I'm always invested in. That dude is badass Santa. I am cool with watching that dude wrestle anything, anytime, anywhere.
I just want to see one Ciampa Orton match. Just one.
Oh, yes.
I'd rather Randy Orton go to NXT for that.
Oh, can you imagine? That would be so sweet.
Can we all admit that those random main roster guys doing the one-offs in NXT is something that we desperately need to come back? Like seeing like a Randy Orton in an NXT match.
I'd send Sheamus to NXT too.
Like,
I want to see, like, my personal opinion is that I would love to see NXT actively involved in the draft. Yeah. And obviously, it's like a scripted draft. You can keep 99% of the NXT talents in NXT. But I'd like to see, like, say, a Dolph Ziggler go down to NXT and be drafted to NXT and have a solid 6-month run down there. Orton, again, is like a dream example for me where if he was to go down and do it, right? Or bring a major star down.
Imagine if John Cena got drafted to NXT UK.
Well, like, yeah.
205 laugh. Cena on 205 laugh.
UK
Cena's been
can't
cutting.
see me.
Cena's been cutting down to 205. But again, like any of the names you could bring down there, what if you were to bring back a Nikki Cross that we've talked about earlier? If she was to go through another NXT run, finally carry the championship. I know I've beaten the point to death, but one of my favorite NXT women's matches is her match versus Asuka, the last woman standing match for the title. Incredible. And if she can go down and establish herself as I don't like using the phrase, but like as sort of that psychotic individual that she was back previously, or she went down under her current character and just tore shit up. She's super talented, and I'd love to see her down there.
You could even take down some stars that are not necessarily getting ring time on main roster. So people like Mustafa Ali or Chad Gable. They will be gangbusters in NXT.
Gable. That's still, you talk about the UK fans. That's what I want to hear back. That is the biggest reason I want an American Alpha return. Yes, great matches. More want to sing the Gable and Jordan song again.
I want to see Chad Gable against Ilya Dragunov. That is a match I want to see.
Oh, that is a neat idea. That's an idea I find very, very neat. Dragunov, again, another guy who everyone knows.
Actually, Tyler Bate and Chad Gable would be pretty sick, too. Tyler Bate's just a beauty through and through.
Tyler Bate's a stud.
Yeah.
I want to see him wrestle. Never had the chance. Hopefully get the chance. I think I told you I'm going to SummerSlam. Very excited on that one, provided borders are open and I don't have to pay $2,000 to quarantine coming back, which, knock on wood, I'm being told you don't have to do as of July. Very excited. I'm finally, Kyle Sy changed his name to Kyle O'Shaw.
I'm pretty sure 1:30 here is 3:30 Eastern time, right?
Well, worst case scenario, you've got it as an estimate. So if you start at 3:30, 1:30, whatever, you're good to go.
Okay. I don't want it to turn out that Eastern time means like everybody's going to be tuned.
The only ones that really mess me up are Saskatchewan because they don't observe daylight savings time. And then I think it's BC that changes to daylight savings time 2 weeks after Alberta or something like that. I'm speaking out of turn, so say la vie. So yes, don't forget to tune into the Goose Call at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Mags, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what time it is for you when the Goose Call's on, so I ain't even going to attempt to improvise. Yeah. That's what we'll go with. I think it's 7:00 p.m. for him now. 20:30 p.m. There we go.
It's only 2 hours from now. He'll still be awake. He can come and watch the show. Be a good time, bud.
Absolutely, he can, and I can't wait for it to happen. I'm excited to have Cam Stevens too because he's a good dude. You picked good first guest.
He is my favorite. I love him.
And he recently got married. Make sure to congratulate him for all of us. That's
not to me. I mean, we're not in love, but it is Pride Month.
I'd marry you, Goose. I'd marry you tomorrow and twice on Sunday. If we're going to preview what we got going on here on Love Wrestling, we're going to preview what we got coming up here on Love Wrestling. We got lots coming up on Love Wrestling. Tomorrow we've got Gail Kim coming up on Josh's latest edition of The Legacy of. I've got a double dose of the Mind Behind coming this week. Alex McCarthy and Anthony Suter from Smart to Death will be joining me on Monday and Tuesday. Power Out on Tuesday as well. Wednesday, we'll see Turnbuckle Rewind returning, and then our regular Thursday programming of War Report and Between Two Beards. Leo London's going to be joining me on Friday as my interview schedule goes. Then Sunday, I challenge for the Love Wrestling Elite Championship, my first opportunity at the title since Parrish claimed it from me at WrestleMania Backlash. So Parrish, excited to see you on Sunday for a regular edition of the POF show. This one, friends, and again, because we didn't jump the gun. Things got a little bit taken away from us last time, restrictions-wise, but hopefully myself and Parrish will be live at the official home away from home of Love Wrestling. Beercade YEG will be previewing the show live. Hopefully they're going to be playing the pay-per-view, but of course, promotional time notwithstanding, it's tough to get things promoted in only a week, and especially when things are in a bit of a state of flux, but hopefully myself and Parrish will be together. It is going to be an absolute blast. It is appreciated, and thank you guys for tuning in. That won't be coming up this... sorry, I'm reading comments. I'm doing a couple of different things, but most importantly, heck yes, I will, Ben. Good to see you, and thanks for hopping in, friend. Always, always, always appreciate seeing you. And if there's anybody else you're going to support here that are great people in professional wrestling, Ben's one of those individuals. So if you're tuned in on Twitch, make sure you go and throw a follow, a subscription, or anything his way and support a great individual. Darnell with the great question, and the one that distracted me while I was trying to plug there. I've got a rhythm, and once it gets screwed up, I'm a lost cause. Quizplex, though, will be coming up on June 24th, the last Thursday of the month. Of course, we've already announced that Nicole Matthews and Ravenous Randy Myers will be joining us as 2 of our 3 special guest competitors. We've lined up our 3rd. We've got confirmation, and we will be announcing that in the near future. We'll be sending out a graphic on social media, and all we will need to do to announce that next guest on Quizplex will raise another $100 or earn 25 retweets. That will all go towards, again, the Trevor Project, which we are really, really trying to push this month. We are currently sitting at $1,147, which is a nice, convenient number for me to be able to plug. So please make sure you guys tune in. If you're not going to tune in, of course, there's never an obligation, but please, please, please support the Trevor Project because, again, they're doing great works for some people who need it. So thank you very much. Joe, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I hope the work is going well on your end, friend. And I hope that things were well for you guys tuning in here on Love Wrestling for our Sunday brunch this morning. Goose, I know you have a couple of times, but feel free to give a quick plug for the Goose Call today, your social media, and we are just going to go clockwise from there. So Parrish and Magsy, get your stuff ready. We're following up with you.
Boom shakalaka. The Goose Call is going to be making its debut today at 3:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 Alberta time here. I'm pretty sure it's a weird time for Cameron Stevens because his time zone's, but we've already talked about time zones, so let's move on. But it's going to be an exciting show. Me and Cam are going to watch a match between Orange Cassidy and Hornswoggle, which is just comedy gold.
I think you know what you're getting when you hear that, yeah?
yeah. I watched it a while ago, and I'm going in kind of fresh tonight because I haven't given it like a rewatch. I will say this, just a little warning: there may be some technical difficulties. This could come off as like a complete disaster. But I have downloaded the actual video onto my computer to hopefully stave off any like stuttering of the video. But worst case scenario, it is available on YouTube, and we'll just be like, here's the link, guys. Go log on, press play. And
if it wasn't for technical difficulties, accidents, and mistakes, I wouldn't be alive on this planet to be hosting this show.
I have so many questions of what kind of machine your parents had to produce you if there was technical difficulties to your existence.
I was created on Krypton, actually.
It was like that little powder like on the Batman show, like when you die, like that you just become a little like blue and orange powder. But where you can find me is on Twitter on Chris Parrish, at the Instagram at Chris.Parrish, on the Twitch at the Chris Parrish, where eventually I will stream eventually. So, I mean, one of these days. But where you can also find, say, some things that you can see in this photo, like this beautiful Love Wrestling t-shirt, is lovewrestling.ca/shop, which you can find so many good things. One thing you cannot find is this beautiful championship title that I currently have that I will be defending next week on the POS show, where I will not only become the best ever, the longest ever. Yeah,
the best man. You won't be longest reigning champ.
I'm becoming. I said, you got to listen to the words. This is why I'm holding the title and you're not.
In my mind. So
I predict that you should shut your mouth while I finish my outro. So,
know your role.
Champ is talking. Champ is talking. Champ is talking. And because of that, the champ is out. Maxie, thank you. Your turn.
Wow. Oh dear. So I have got such a busy month in terms of content with the Euros, with all the wrestling that we're watching. So you can find me on Twitter at PodfatherMags. Definitely check out the Goose Call tonight in the UK. Will be on at 8:30 p.m. Much love to all you guys here at Love Wrestling for smashing your first target for the Trevor Project. I'm so proud of every single one of you. In terms of my content, I have a podcast called A Changing Attitude, where me, Tanner, and Ori, a couple of friends of mine, we are going back through the Attitude Era of Raw and kind of giving it a look in 2021 as. We're also covering football. The Euro 2020 is on Radio Teca, so there's plenty of content there. And then there's UFC with 5 rounds. Me and my son Carlos, we go over the UFC events of each weekend and give them our initial thoughts. So yeah, come and check me out on Twitter at PodfatherMags for all links to my content.
Absolutely, friend Megsy. Thank you for joining. Goose, feel free to give your plug. You've got something to say. We're going to let you say it.
One more thing. Of course, last week on Monday Night Shaw over on the Backbreaker Media Network, I had part 1 of Thaddeus Archer. This week, for all you local Alberta folks that are interested in tuning in, Thaddeus Archer and I go for part 2, and the first question of the podcast is, so why did you leave RCW?
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'll listen to that one.
So that should be a great time.
I'll listen to that one.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
Boom. There we go. Shaw with the mic drop. Friends, thank you guys once again for joining. The 3 of you on screen. It is always appreciated when I get the opportunity to chat face-to-face with any of you. Thank you to anyone who has hopped in the comments, because seriously, we know how much wrestling content there is out there. There's an abundance. There's a cornucopia of professional wrestling content. There are a bunch of individuals just like us talking about professional wrestling out there on the internet. So the fact that you guys spent some time on this Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, or Sunday evening in some of your cases, Magsy, looking at you with us is incredibly appreciated. Thank you guys once again. All of our social media is scrolling across the bottom, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, anywhere the podcasts are played, videos are viewed, or articles are read. You can find us at Love Wrestling CA. Myself personally, the Twitter handle, that's my mic. Twitter handle's right there, at Spenny Love. If you want to chat pro wrestling with me outside of any of the live content we've got going on here, feel more than free to. I absolutely love chatting with the great individuals we've got out there. Twitter can be a cesspool, so let's build a community of great individuals like we are lucky to have on here. Thank you guys once again. We are going to be chatting later on today. The Goose is back at 1:30, like he mentioned, Mountain Time for the Goose Call. Following that, we will have an edition of Love Wrestling Reacts immediately following TakeOver. And then, of course, stay tuned, friends, to those social media channels, because we'll have everything that you can expect on our end. I do want to close it out, and I know it's yet another plug, but of course, I want to close it out by promoting our June 24th event. Quizplex will be taking place specifically to try and raise funds for the Trevor Project. Nicole Matthews, Ravenous Randy Myers, and a guest I am super, super excited to announce will be coming on the show. We'll all be raising funds for a project that means a lot to us and does some great, great work. So thank you guys once again for putting up with all of us, being so enthusiastic, for chatting loudly, for being this thrilled about professional wrestling. If you're watching on Twitch, we're gonna tone her down a little bit. Join us as we head over and watch The Joy of Painting, I hope, on old Bobby Ross's channel. Oh, I can't rate him. Dang it. We're going to just watch little squirrel
right here.
We're going to head over. We're going to watch some Impact. They're doing some stuff following the event from last night. So we'll head that way in a couple of seconds. For those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, you're going to hear our music. Thanks once again for tuning in to Sunday Brunch. For Shaw, for Parrish, for Mags, I'm Spencer. We're out.